Welcome to the 2021 Texas 4-H Opportunity Scholarship Training. My name is Meredith Carter. I'm the Extension Program Specialist for 4-H Youth Development, specifically in serving District 11. And so I have the unique opportunity to serve on Texas 4-H faculty and see things from a bird's eye perspective, but also kind of see what happens at the local level. And so I think it's a pretty unique perspective to be able to see both sides of the coin, if you will. With me tonight, I have a very special guest. I have Mr. Arnulfo Gonzalez. Arnulfo is with our Rural Student Success Initiative. That's a unique initiative. It's a special initiative that we have in the 4-H program that is targeting our rural communities and making sure that our rural students in rural America really have all the tools that they need to be successful to get to college and then stay successful once they get into college. Arnulfo, I hope I explained that right, but that's how it's been explained to me. And so what I'm going to do is turn my screen share off and let Arnulfo do his screen share. And so I've asked Arnulfo to join us because he has a lot of hands-on experience with the FAFSA applications, scholarships in general. So scholarships outside of the Texas 4-H Opportunity Scholarship. And so I asked him just to visit with everybody briefly. And then we're going to dive into the Texas 4-H Opportunity Scholarship after that. But Arnulfo, take it away.
Awesome. And thank you guys for having me joining y'all tonight on this presentation. And at any point, if I exceed my time limit, please let me know. I can keep on going and going in regards to financial aid and scholarships. Just like she mentioned, my name is Arnulfo Gonzalez, and I am a extension program specialist, specifically in college access and success. So today what I'm going to do is go over financial aid, briefly go over financial aid and how it ties in with scholarships, and hopefully that kind of leads into the conversation that you guys joined us for today. So what is financial aid? Financial aid helps students and their families pay for higher education expenses, such as tuition and fees, housing, meals, books and supplies, and transportation, just to make college overall more affordable for individuals. Now, financial aid can come in a variety of sources. So there are different types of financial aid. There's free money. Students can receive financial aid, just like I mentioned earlier, to pay for just higher education expenses and just make college a little bit more affordable. Some of the common myths about financial aid is that it's just free money, just like grants. And it's not just free money like grants. There are three different types of financial aid. There's free, borrowed, and earned. And with these three types, there's different sources. For example, grants and scholarships are considered free money. And the students, these are funds that students do not have to pay back. There's also work study and internships, which are considered earned money. And these are funds that students will likely, these are funds that you earn by working, almost kind of like a paycheck, but not really. But these are things where you have to work or complete certain tasks in order to get, earn money to pay for some of your expenses. Now, there's also borrowed money, which can come in the form of federal, state, or private loans. And these are considered, like I mentioned earlier, borrowed funds. And these are funds that students will have to pay back after they complete their degrees. Now, how does that, in reference to financial aid, there is also FAFSA. FAFSA is the actual application. It's the free application for federal student aid. Most of the times I get this a lot from my students. I was like, so what does it do, or what's the purpose of it? Well, once you submit your application, what it does, it calculates your expected family contribution, which is your EFC. This EFC, it's a specific number that is used by colleges to kind of calculate the amount of aid a student is eligible to receive. A lot of times you will find this application online. It used to be able to, you used to be able to submit the financial aid application using a paper form, and I believe you can still do that, but a lot of the institutions are now gearing more towards online and electronic versions. I went ahead and included the link where you guys can submit the application to qualify and apply for those different financial aid sources. So the FAFSA application, there's only one application. I went ahead, as you can see on your screen, there is a picture of the homepage of the application in case you have not seen or gone to the website to complete your financial aid application. This is something that you will have to submit every year. It's a cycle. So every year, once you go to college and you apply for financial aid, every October, it opens up. So October 1st. So if you are a current senior right now and you have not done your financial aid, I highly recommend that when you guys jump offline or go home over the weekend or before Thanksgiving to submit your application. You can submit it afterwards, but it works on a first come, first served basis. So the sooner you can complete it, the better. Also, it's free to apply. You do not have to pay to file the application. So there's a lot of, that's something that you also have to consider, that when you are applying for your financial aid, there will be, there are people out there who are trying to make money off of individuals who do not know, and will charge individuals to complete the application. But even in and of itself, the name, it's free. It's called the free application for federal student aid. So in no way, shape, or form should you be paying for this application to be completed. Now there's two ways to submit the application. You guys can submit it online on your computer, or there's this newer option that you can download the app, which is called Federal Student Aid, and you can actually complete the application through your phone. The app is called My Student Aid. I've been hearing a lot from the students who have been submitting the application online that it's a little bit easier to do it on the phone. I don't know if that's maybe a generation thing, but I am more comfortable working on a laptop and completing the app. But a lot of my students are saying that it's a little bit easier for them to complete the application via their phone or their mobile devices. So just a quick overview of the application, of what it entails. Before you submit an application or create your account, students and parents need to complete a Federal Student Aid ID. A lot of your counselors or your college advisors may refer this to as your FSA ID, which is basically what it is. It's a username and password that gives you access to your Federal Student Aid online system. And it also serves as your legal electronic signature. So it's very important that when you create this ID for your application, yourself or one of your parents, not to share your username and password, because it will contain a lot of your information, a lot of your private information in your account. So you don't want people to have access to that if you don't want them to have access. Like I mentioned earlier, it's both the parent and the student. One of the biggest mistakes that we do encounter with a lot of our students and parents is they try to share their email. So parents and students, do not share your email account. Sometimes it's easier for the student, they create their FSA ID number, their username and password, and if their parents are not with them, they usually try to create it with their own email, and all it does, it confuses the system and it does not verify your information. Thus, you have to create another email and create the whole process again. So in order to not go into that, just do not use the same email. Everybody use their own email. Another thing is Social Security. You will need your Social Security number. to create your FSA ID. Just make sure you have that handy. You know, sometimes our students don't remember what their social security numbers are. So I highly do recommend it when you are creating your account, make sure you have your number ready. So it's a smooth transition and you're able to create your ID fast and easy. So the FSA does contain 7 parts when completing the application. The first step, as we mentioned earlier, is always to create your FSA ID and login information. This is for both the parent and the student. And if you notice on your screen, you'll see some of these squares are purple. I went ahead and separated or highlighted the squares with purple, the ones that involve parent information. So in the beginning, the parent and the student need to create an ID to be able to log in. It will ask you your student demographics. It will ask you for school selection. These are the schools that you're interested in applying to. Dependency status. It'll ask you questions to see if you're dependent on your parent or if you're not. Then it'll start asking your parents' information, like your parents' demographics. You know, what are some of the financial information? This is where your taxes and your W-2s come in. Then after that is submitted, you know, the student and the parent both sign and submit the application. And then you will receive, in 2 to 3 days, receive a confirmation email saying that your application is being processed and being reviewed. Now, one of the new improvements this year, one of the updates for financial aid for the FAFSA is that they included this little question mark with images. So most of the times when students have questions, there's always been this little help button on the bottom with a question mark that you're able to click on it, and it'll give you text. It'll give you instructions on what exactly they're asking. But something new that this year FAFSA has done in order to make it a little bit easier for students and parents to complete is they've included images. So these images look similar to your W-2s or your tax paper information that you have with you. So it's easier to identify within the documents what exactly they're asking for you to submit and include in your application, which I think is very beneficial, and it makes it a lot easier and a little bit more faster in completing and submitting the actual application. Another cool tool that's in the application is the IRS data retrieval tool. So if you've already completed your financial aid or you're in the process of completing, or if you're going to potentially complete the application, this tool, what it does, it'll ask you if you want to try to link your IRS information to your FAFSA application. Now, if you're able to link it successfully, what it does, it transfers all your information onto your FAFSA application without you having to type it in manually. So that way it assures that a lot of your information is accurate. This is one of my, I like that they have this tool, and it's very beneficial for our parents and our students. It often comes in really handy when you don't have your FAFSA documents and you're able to link it. So that's really cool. I really like that they have this tool within the application. So when you're applying for the financial aid application, either you're doing this at home yourself, or your district or your high school is offering a FAFSA application night or a day, or someone's out there that's willing to help you submit your application. Just in order to speed up the process, I always recommend that these are some of the documents that you should have in hand. You should already have your FSA ID. And if you haven't, make sure to do that before you start your application. You make sure you have your social security number, or the number and you have it memorized. Also, tax information. Make sure you have your W-2s and your tax returns with you when you are completing your financial aid application, or any other income that you might have, or any other assets that you guys do have within the household. And then last but not least is school lists. I always recommend my students have an idea or have a list of schools that you're wanting to apply to. Oftentimes students are eager to start on the application, but once they hit to the part where they have to identify the schools that they want to send their application to, um, sometimes students don't think of where they're going to apply to before they've actually submitted this application. So they stop. So I do recommend, have an idea of where you're wanting to apply, so you can submit your application to that institution. Now, if you're not sure where you're going to apply, but you need the assistance and you want to submit your application, put down the schools that you potentially might apply to, and then you can always go back into the system and revise the schools that you submit the application to. Now, just to give you guys an idea of the financial aid cycle, it starts off with the FAFSA application and being submitted, as you can see here up in the top. Then we go into the verification process. This is where the system verifies all the information that was submitted to make sure it was accurate. Then once that is verified, it is sent to the schools, and then the schools will submit or hand out award letters. And normally this happens. They can either send you an email, they can mail you out an award letter, but most of the times you have a student portal account already with that institution, and that's where they will update your financial aid link with any award letters that they might have gifted you at that specific institution. The next step is to accept the aid. Once you review your award letter and you know what they're offering, you can either decide to accept or decline the different aids that they do offer you within the institution. Once you accept any aid, they will disperse. Once they disperse, if there's any funds still left over, that's including financial aid, scholarships, any other loans that you might have applied for. If there's any funds left over in your student account at the institution, then they will refund or make payments to any of the costs that you have there at the university. Now, special circumstances, I wanted to make sure to point this out, especially right now with just everything that we're going through, with COVID-19. There's a lot of special circumstances where households might have lost, job loss, maybe parents have separated, maybe there might be, there might have been some, passing aways in the family, or maybe there's birth in the family, or there's these medical expenses. If for some reason, when you guys do submit your financial aid and you feel that that the information you're submitting is not reflective of what's going on currently in your household, once the institution has received your application, there's a special circumstance form that you can request from the institution to submit. It's a simple. Each university will have their own form. Basically, what it does, you explain on the form, any hardships you might have gone through, any special circumstances that you guys are currently going through in your household that might affect your ability to, pay the expenses to go to a university. So in doing so, you complete the form, you submit it to the institution, and then they will make a professional judgment call in changing your information on your application. They're the only ones that have the authority to do that. So at any point, if you feel that, a parent might have lost their job, so you guys currently don't have a lot of income in the household, but, your financial aid is saying that, you have a lot of funds, then that's when you would reach out to the institution and ask them if they have a special circumstance form that you can complete. So work with each college that you are applying to and request that form if it's needed. But I just wanted to make sure and point this out because I know that's something that a lot of our students, a lot of our seniors might be going through. So I wanted to make sure you guys are aware that, there is a form available at each institution where they can do professional judgment calls on your financial aid applications. Now, FAFSA and scholarships. So FAFSA may be the key to other aid. There are some scholarships that a lot of our students do apply to that sometimes they request for you to submit an SAR. An SAR is a student aid report that you receive after you've submitted and your application has been processed. You're able to log in back into your account. You can click on the SAR report and then you can print that out. There are a lot of scholarships out there that they do require you to submit a financial aid application. So I do recommend it, not just for the fact that, you know, you are applying for a lot of federal aid and other resources that are available through the federal government, but there are other scholarships, independent scholarships, that do require you to submit an SAR report with your application. So if you are going to be applying for other scholarships, I highly do recommend, you know, even though if you feel, that's one of the myths, if you feel like, oh, I won't qualify for financial aid, still try to apply for it, because there are other scholarships out there that you can apply for that may require you to submit your SAR report with the application. So where to look for scholarships? You can go to colleges and universities. You can visit your own high school career center or your counseling office for those local scholarships that are available. You can, like the web, you can just go to Google, but you just got to be careful. Other organizations that you might be a part of, for example, you know, 4-H, that is one of the organizations that you can look for scholarships. Or if you're currently working or plan to work, you know, you can see with your employers or the businesses to see if they do offer any type of scholarships that are available. And also faith-based organizations, your local churches, you can always reach out to them to see if they do offer any. Now, I wanted to go ahead and include some websites where you can go and search for scholarships. These are vetted websites. These are actual websites that I've used as a previous college advisor. These are the websites that I always recommend my students to go to and create their accounts and submit as many scholarships as possible. And I can also provide this PowerPoint so you guys do have access to these links, so you guys can get them after the presentation as well. Just as a general caution, I always recommend beware of scams. Never pay for a scholarship, not even an application fee. Legitimate donors will not ask for application fees. You know, scholarships are also not guaranteed. So if someone's saying that, you know, complete the scholarship and it's guaranteed, but for, you know, just give us $10, PayPal us $10, and we'll put you into this guaranteed pool of scholarships, do not believe it. It is a scam. Or if you start getting emails saying that you're a finalist for a contest, especially for a contest that you've never entered, I would recommend just deleting that email and not even entertaining it. There are a lot of scams out there. There's a lot of people trying to take advantage of young people trying to obtain a post-secondary degree. So why are scholarships a good investment of your time? Well, here's a prime example. You know, a student invests 10 hours to apply for 10 scholarships and is awarded just one for $2,000. That student, if you're able to break it down by the hours, that student just earned $200 an hour. That's a lot. At $9.25 an hour, which is above minimum wage, you would have to work about 216 hours just to earn those $2,000. So if you just take that into consideration, just think about it. If you were to work in college as a part-time student, part-time's about 20 hours. You know, that will take you about 10 weeks to make the $2,000. So either 10 weeks of working or just 10 hours of applying for scholarships, give or take. So it's really up to y'all. That's just it's just something for you guys to think about how easy it is to be able to get scholarships and be able to pay for your college expenses by just investing some time into completing the essays and applying for as many scholarships as you guys can possibly apply for. And just as the last thing, I wanted to let you guys know is ADVI. ADVI is a Texas Virtual College Advisor. So at any point, if you have questions about, your financial aid, scholarships, or if you have a specific degree that you're looking at, and you have questions to see are there any, let's say for example, I want to be a poultry, I want to major in poultry science. And you can ask ADVI, are there any poultry science scholarships available in Texas? Well, the ADVI system has, it already has messages, like pre-populated messages. Being that that scholarship about poultry science is a little bit more specific, we have real near-peer advisors behind the system that will step in and answer and facilitate the conversation with you. So they'll be able to help you, be able to guide you into the available resources, or if there's any other scholarships that are available to you in regards to poultry science. This platform is totally free. All you have to do is text RSSI to 512-829-3687. And it's a virtual platform. Students can join for free 24/7. You can ask any college questions that you guys might have in regards to college, and it will try to provide the most accurate information that it has in the system for you guys. And if the system cannot answer it for you, then that's when the advisors do step in, and then they'll have those one-on-one conversations with you and providing those resources that you guys are looking for. And yeah, that's pretty much my financial aid and scholarship spiel.
Arnulfo, thank you so much. This was so much great information. It was exactly what I needed and what I wanted for them to hear. I think I know how to point people in the right direction for resources, but it's so great to know that we have somebody on our team in the 4-H in the 4-H unit that can help all of our kids. So thank you so very much. I really do appreciate it. If you have any questions, please drop them in the chat, and yes, we will we'll take just a few minutes to answer those, and then we will get started with the 4-H Opportunity Scholarship of the training. Hi, Henry. Yes, I am going to get a copy of Arnulfo's presentation, and I'll send it out with the recording.
Yes, definitely. We can definitely share that information out.
All right. Thank you. Arnulfo, I know you're on leave now, so thank you so much for taking time out of your evening to join us. I hope you have a great Thanksgiving.
Awesome. Thank y'all so much. And at any point, if y'all do have any financial aid questions, y'all can just please relate that to me at a later time if you don't have any questions right now, and I'm more than glad to help you guys.
All right. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye. All right, so we're going to continue on with the 4-H opportunity portion, scholarship portion of the training. I have lots and lots of information in here, and so we're going to kind of go through it, and then we're going to dig into a few pieces as we go through the presentation. So the scholarship program is overseen by the Texas 4-H Youth Development Foundation. Each year, we give an estimated $2.5 million at the Texas 4-H Scholarship Assembly, and we do that through approximately 225 scholarships annually. It's really important to note, just like Arnulfo was talking, that Some scholarships require that SAR report, but ours is a highly academic based scholarship. Very few of our donors give an award based on financial need. So it's really important to note that. I think that's probably the biggest myth that I hear is that, well, I'm not going to apply because my parents make too much money, but that's really not the case. And so with the 4-H Opportunity Scholarship, we are a highly academic scholarship. So changes for 2020-2021. If you are receiving a Terry Scholarship or will be a Terry Scholar, you are not eligible to receive a Texas 4-H Opportunity Scholarship. Interviews are tentatively scheduled for April 23rd through the 25th, 2021 in College Station. And this year, because of a lot of our testing dates not being able to be made because of COVID-19, 2021 applicants are not required to submit the SAT or ACT scores. So there are 4 types of scholarships that we provide. We provide a baccalaureate scholarship, which is for students pursuing a Bachelor of Science or a Bachelor of Arts at a traditional 4-year college. A technical scholarship for students pursuing a technical certification. We have a collegiate scholarship for former 4-H members who are current college students. And then we have our Courageous Heart Scholarship, and that's for those youth who have overcome significant obstacles and still have a desire to pursue a collegiate career. So you have to be a current active 4-H member this year in at least 2 of the 3 previous years. You must be a United States citizen and a Texas resident and be scheduled to graduate during the 2020-2021 school year. And then, of course, you can only receive a Texas 4-H scholarship if you are accepted into a Texas college or university or technical school by the time of your interview. So, some general eligibility requirements is you have to pass all necessary standardized tests and requirements for graduation and met the entrance requirements for the college or university where a formal application has been made. You have to submit a 2021 scholarship application. It is really, really important that I stress that you have to submit a 2021 application. In years past, we've had people edit previous year's applications from somebody else, and there may be minor changes, and so it's really important that you're using the current application. The application must be complete and correct, and once it is submitted on or before February 15th, there are no updates allowed. So to be eligible for a baccalaureate scholarship, you must be in the upper 1/2 of your class based on scholastic rank for the first 3.5 years. Some scholarships do require that applicants be in the upper 1/4 percentile, but it's not very many. And so it's really important that you strive to attain that top 1/2 of your class. So to be eligible for a Houston Livestock Show and Rodeo Scholarship, you cannot have received more than $110,000 in total financial aid or any other scholarships to remain eligible for that specific scholarship. So it's really important that I point out that this is just one of our multiple donors for scholarships. And so I want you to think about it like you're applying using one application and you're applying for several scholarships put together kind of like in a donor pool. And so what we'll do is we'll take your application and score it, and then it'll get scored, you'll go through the interview, and then we will rank you and match you up with the highest dollar amount that we possibly can. So To be eligible for a technical scholarship, you must not have plans to continue education at a formal university or formal education at a Texas college or university after the completion of your technical program. This is where we see a lot of this is primarily like in nursing programs where they want to go get their LVN or RN and then still want to kind of just stair step and then go get their BSN or MSN and so on and so forth. And so it's really important that you kind of maintain true to that because we don't want to take away a scholarship from somebody who truly wanted a technical application or a technical scholarship. So the Courageous Heart Scholarship is specifically, I'm sorry, y'all, I couldn't talk tonight, for those individuals who cannot be considered for a Texas, any other Texas 4-H Opportunity Scholarship because of grades or anything like that. And they must have written documentation of their obstacles, and they need to have 3 letters of recommendation and complete an additional Courageous Heart narrative. The maximum scholarship value for this scholarship is $5,000. If you are thinking you will apply for this, I highly encourage you to work with your county extension agent and involve them and see if you are a true fit for this scholarship. So the last type of scholarship application that we have is the Collegiate Scholarship, and that is specifically for our former 4-H members who have completed 30 hours of undergraduate work and maintain a 2.7 cumulative GPA at the time of application. So there are some reminders. Applications must be submitted through the scholarship portal, and that is found through the Texas 4-H website, 4-H Foundation website. You will select the specific type of scholarship that you wish to apply to, click apply, and then we're going to kind of walk through and I'm going to show you some screenshots as to what to expect. You can download a list of questions once you're logged in and complete those answers in maybe like a Microsoft Office or Word format, but all answers must be copied or uploaded into those text boxes. There are specific format samples given under each list type. I would encourage you to look at those and maybe see if your county extension agent has a few examples of what some successful scholarship applications look like, not necessarily for the information, but what the organizational structure is. Applications and instructions are available from your county office or on the Texas 4-H Foundation website. So these are some helpful documents that would be helpful in reviewing when you are looking to complete an application. I would look at 4-H record books or participation information that to help complete the 4-H specific part of the scholarship application. I'd read our scholarship guidelines thoroughly. I'd make sure that you have already requested an official high school transcript. It's really, really important that that transcript be completed through the first semester. And so we need that high school transcript to have your first semester grades on it. You will have to have a copy of your student aid report from FAFSA. And so pro tip, if you have not completed your FAFSA, I highly encourage that you do that before like December 15th, because you will be able to use yours or your parents' previous year's tax information. If you do it after January 1st, you will have to wait until your parents submit their taxes for 2020, get that information, and then submit your FAFSA. And quite frankly, if you wait to do it then, it's too late. I have seen very few people, very few people actually receive their SAR report on time by the application deadline. So this is an explanation of the process of what that looks like. And so we have released the scholarship application to you as the 4-H member. You will submit the scholarship application by February 15th in the online portal. Once we go through that application, verification, and certification, it'll go through a judging process, and then you'll be notified of whether or not you will have received an interview. Once you go through those interviews, you will then be notified of scholar selection. Then you will be required to be present at our scholarship banquets and presentations. And then from there, it really kind of takes over from the, it leaves kind of the 4-H unit and really goes into you working directly with the 4-H Foundation office. And so that's where we verify donor verification, and we submit contracts and thank you notes, and then they report that scholarship payment to your college or university. So this is a scoring rubric. You can see this year that the SAT and ACT scores have been removed. A higher weight percentage has been placed on 4-H experience and narratives. And so I would spend a significant amount of time working through those. We have a highly competitive scholarship application. And so just because you went to state in something does not mean that you're guaranteed a scholarship. Just because you were a district officer or a state council officer does not mean that you are guaranteed anything. And so we have seen some of our kids who win the highest amount in our scholarships truly have never left the county program, and they have all of their 4-H experiences based on their county program experiences. And so I would spend a significant amount of time working through that and working with your county extension agent on those. You'll see here on the Courageous Heart, this one is it is weighted a little bit differently, and so there's less emphasis on the 4-H experience and narratives to place a higher emphasis on the Courageous Heart narrative and letters of recommendation. So we're going to kind of dive into the portal, and I'm going to kind of show you what things look like. And we're going to show you through some screenshots, but it's really important that we use it, or that you use an email that is for the youth that is applying. You do not need to put the parent or guardian information in there. They will specifically contact with the applicant or with the scholarship recipient. So this is on this Texas 4-H Foundation website. This is where you will go to the scholarship portal specifically to start the application. You'll create a new account, and then so it'll take you to a new screen where you verify your email address and password, those kinds of things, and then you'll click apply. So you'll be taken to that dashboard. You'll be allowed to select a specific application type, and then you will click apply for that. This fax to file tool is really neat. It's actually a fax number to be able to fax your documents in. However, there are a number of apps out there right now, even on your iPhone. If you have an iPhone, your Notes app is a scan. And so I would highly encourage you to seek out all means necessary to convert your documents from a hard copy format. Instead of using this, seek the assistance of your county extension agents. They can certainly help you and really help you kind of fine tune and get that stuff in. So there is an option here to collaborate. And so this collaboration tool will send an email to anybody that you have asked to collaborate using their email address. And so This is really the only way for your county extension agent or myself to review your application. And so the process of us reviewing your scholarship application at the district office and then being able to send it back, that process is no longer. And so once you push the submit button on or before February 15th, there can be no longer be changes made. And so it's really, really important that if you want somebody to look at it, which I highly encourage that you do, that you either use that collaborate function, or you email the documents to your county extension agent or whoever's reviewing your documents. So there are several sections. Section 1A is just a personal information section. We'll create a unique identifier, and there's some examples there for you to create your unique identifier. It'll have your preferred name and phonetic spelling of your full name, date of birth, some basic demographic information. We'll continue into 1B with more basic demographic information, and then some information about your 4-H, your county, your district, etc. And so I would highly encourage you get this information before you start filling out your application. So you'll list your first 2 priority schools that you are wishing to attend, and then list their major and the department in which they're in. So section 3 moves into livestock show participation. The Fort Worth Stock Show and Rodeo is the only stock show and rodeo that we have that requires participation in their stock show to receive their scholarship. And so you'll select yes or no. And then, of course, if you are planning on being a school tour guide in 2020, I would fill this out. It does make you eligible for an additional scholarship on behalf of the San Antonio Livestock Show and Rodeo. Section 4 is your individual scholastic record, and so here you'll put in your expected date of graduation, and then you'll upload your official high school transcript. Please make sure that it has a counselor's signature on it, and that you are also making sure that the grades are through the first semester. And so whatever that looks like this year, please just make sure that those are correct. So here is where you will provide the counselor or school administrator's email address, and they will verify the rank and some scholastic information. I would not how do I say this? I would highly encourage you to follow up with your counselor or administrator when you email this to them, because sometimes it does go to their junk mail. And so we need to make sure that they are getting it and that this isn't the part of the scholarship application that's being held up. So this is what they are asked, just so you are aware. It's the name of the high school, the funding classification, the quartile, just some basic scholastic information. And so you will be able to check here where that red circle is on whether or not they have received it or followed up with your request. Section 6 is the your financial information, and so that's where you will upload your student aid report and write your financial need narrative. We are looking on your student aid report for an EFC number. That's your expected financial contribution. And so, Arnulfo was talking earlier about your FAFSA. It does take some time I've seen people get it in as early as a week, and I've seen people have to wait 4 weeks for it. And so we highly encourage you not to wait, to make sure that you get your student aid report on time. So this is what a student aid report looks like. You'll see down here at the bottom, there's going to be some page numbers. You have to upload the entire student aid report. You'll see here in the top right-hand corner, there's an EFC number. You will type that EFC number into the box. When you are typing your financial need narrative, this is where your narratives are where you are going to set yourself apart from anybody. And so we want to know that you've done your homework when you have started applying for college, and so that you know how much college costs, or the cost of college, and what your plan is. We don't like to see people, and I say we, I have been a scholarship judge. We don't like to see people that are just banking on a scholarship to pay for their tuition. And so we like to see kids who have done their homework, who know exactly what it costs, who are not oblivious to the little things, and that you've really kind of done your research, and that you know what it's going to take. We also want to know what sets you apart. Have you had some financial hardship? Certainly, you know, in 2020, I say nothing's off the table, you know. So if you have experienced any type of financial hardship, this is the place to put it. What makes you different? Are your mom and dad putting 2 kids through college already? That makes a difference. Are you working? Do you have a job? What have you done to save for college? Include all of that information so they get an idea of who you are and how determined you are. If your financial narrative does not take the full page, you need to add more. Financial narratives that take half a page or only half the word limit rarely have enough information in them for us to get to know the applicant and really understand where they are in their journey as they're applying for college. So you will upload your student aid report here. You will type your EFC number first and then upload your SAR report. And then for your narrative, you have to type it, or it has to be submitted in here. I cannot tell you what to do. However, I highly recommend that you don't just start typing in there. I would highly recommend that you open a Word document and start typing it. Have some people check it, check your grammar, check your word count, those kinds of things. And so you can do all of that in Word and then copy and paste it from there. So section 6 is your experience, honors, and narratives. And so that information is really kind of where we dive into what was your 4-H career? What did it look like? And so there are character limits for each section. And so it is recommended that you complete your responses in Word and then copy and paste into that text field. You do not have to, it's not a one-time login, complete, login, complete, and submit. You can progressively work through it. We highly recommend you downloading those questions and starting to draft them, and then start working through those scholarships. Through those questions. I'm sorry. So section 6 talks about 4-H projects. You can list up to 4-H four projects in the applicant's career. You can describe the years involved, knowledge and skills gained, the scope of activity, demonstrations, or talks. You'll notice here that it sounds a whole lot like the 4-H record book. So if you have a 4-H record book, this part should be fairly easy for you. We just want to tweak it with why these were important, what was the significant, what did you learn, and what sets you apart from others. If you don't have a record book, it is still 100% doable. It just makes it that much easier if you have a 4-H record book. If you don't have a record book, I would kind of sit down and start brainstorming your 4 projects. I would work with your county extension agent. I cannot stress this enough. Please make contact with your county extension agent. And work through that. Henry, you've asked, how do we get one? Do we make one ourselves? The 4-H record book is completely separate from this, but the scholarship application and the 4-H record book are designed to be mirrored and look very similar to make this process easier. And so you don't have to create a record book. I'm just saying the information that is in the record book is very easy to pull out and plug into this part of the scholarship application. So here, you can either submit it in this text box, or you can upload it into from a Word document or a PDF document. The font needs to be 8-point font or larger and fit in 1 page. This is, I can't tell you what to do, but I would highly recommend using the upload feature, because you can create tables and you can organize your information instead of just putting a lot of words in that text box and then having the judges read it. There is something to be said for visual appeal. And so I would highly encourage you to explore different options, those kinds of things, on how to organize your information. Your county extension agent will have examples of successful scholarships. And so you can see different types of formatting that may be pleasing to you. Section 7 talks all about leadership. So we want to know, what 20 major leadership roles have you done in the 4-H program? What was your responsibility? What were your duties? What were your accomplishments? Why were they so important? And what impact did your involvement have on other people? And so we want to make sure that we're not just listing, we're listing stuff to fill the 20 blanks. We want to emphasize that we are going to look at quality instead of quantity here. And so the same thing here, you can upload a file and organize it in a table or a chart. And we highly recommend that, or I do anyway. I can't tell you what to do, but I can tell you what I can tell you what has worked in the past. So, Jacob, participating in the Rabbit Project for 4 years is one 4-H project. So let's think about the other things that you've done in the 4-H program. If the Rabbit Project is all that you've done, that's fine. But I would really encourage you to visit with your county extension agent and see what else you've done. So Section 7 moves on into citizenship and community service. And so we want to know, what have you done to help other people because of the 4-H program? Again, we're going to emphasize quality over quantity, and we want to make sure that we see and recognize the impact that you made. So the second part of Section 7 is the 4-H honors. We want to make sure that you list the 4 major 4-H honors that you've received in your career. That could be showing, if you've received any high-ranking awards because of showing, or maybe if you've received the Gold Star, I would highly recommend that you put the Gold Star down. The Gold Star is a state-level award, and I can't stress that enough. It is a state-level award that we hand out at the county level because there are so many Gold Star recipients across the state. But we want to make sure that we understand why those honors were so important. So maybe you received a showmanship belt buckle or a showmanship award. Maybe you placed first at Texas 4-H Roundup in the food show program or in the food show contest, whatever it may be. But we want to see what those top 4 honors look like. Again, here you can upload that file. And then, of course, on citizenship and community service, you can type in the text chat in the text box, or you can upload a file. Outside 4-H experience is everything you've done outside of the 4-H program. This would include anything you've done at work, church, at school. Maybe you're in athletics or the FFA program, any other youth groups, Boy Scouts, Girl Scouts, anything like that. But this is where you would mention those opportunities. Again, here you can either upload a file or put it in the text box. It's whatever is preferable to you. So the personal narrative has to be typed in the text box, but again, this is where I would highly recommend you type it in a Word document, edit it, format it, make sure it sounds good, send it to your English teacher for them to go over it and review it. But this is where we want to know what makes you you. What is different about you? What's different about you from all the other, we get close to 500 applicants. So what's different about you compared to everybody else that we're going to see? So Suzanne, I would highly recommend that you do not repeat community service leadership experiences in the community service experiences. We want to see the different kinds of things that they've done. And so if a 4-H'er was a primary leader or founder of a community service project, you would put that, I would highly recommend you put that in the community service project, but that you put that it was primary leadership. In your narrative, do not use your name. Do not relist information that's already been addressed in the application in another section. That's really just kind of wasting space, and so we want to make sure that we come up with new and innovative information for each one. The career narrative is the last narrative that you will have to type if you're applying for a baccalaureate or technical scholarship. And so we want to know, why are you choosing to choose the career path that you are pursuing? And what is it, what impact does it have on the future for you? And so if you've done any interviews or participated in any camps, visited colleges or universities, or maybe you have somebody that you really admire and you want to follow in their footsteps, I would include all of that information here. So Section 8 is the acknowledgement of integrity, participation, and certification. This is where you verify and tell us that everything you've put in here is truth. And so this is really important. I can tell you, do not lie anywhere in your application. Do not embellish the truth in any way, shape, or form, because donors will find out, and it will catch up to you. And we have seen people have their scholarship revoked because they were not honest on their application. So this is just the text box with the information there, and there's a small checkbox there. So the Courageous Heart application has an additional 3 references and 3 letters of recommendation that come from those references. And then there's an additional narrative there that explains the obstacle and how you've overcome it, and how you want to conquer life, if you will. And so I would really, if you are going to apply for a Courageous Heart, please make sure you're working with your county extension agent and make sure that we are putting your best foot forward. Again, the limit for this scholarship is $5,000, and it's not, you're not eligible for any of the others. So this is, you will upload their reference information, and then you will upload their letter of recommendation. The county extension agent will then review the application, and then they have to submit or upload a form with that. And so in here, this is our timeline. So you'll see that the first big deadline and only deadline is February 15th. Guys, I cannot stress this enough. you have to hit the submit button for it to go through. If you don't hit the submit button and wait until February 16th to hit the submit button, you will not be considered. And so during this time from February until April, we do application judging, and then you'll be notified of interviews sometime in April. Normally it's like mid-April-ish, early April-ish, just depending on what that looks like. So just some tips. We want you to start early and make sure that you've gotten your FAFSA. We want you to gather information and brainstorm it before you start. Read the instructions and directions thoroughly. Ask several people to review and critique your application, and complete all sections. If you don't complete a section, that means you get 0 points. And so ultimately, we want to make sure that we are emphasizing quality as well as quantity. This is a competitive academic scholarship. And so I can tell you that just because it worked last year doesn't mean it's going to work this year. We get a whole new pool of applicants every year. Just because test scores or grades that were submitted last year, we don't know what the applicant pool is going to look like this year. And our judges change every year. And so there's so many variables. And so we highly encourage you to make sure that you are putting your best foot forward. There are no quotas set for county, districts, or regions. Fort Worth is the only livestock show donor that requires participation. And we want to make sure that high school proficiency has been met in college. Well, this year you don't have to take college entrance exams. Sorry, I missed that minor edit. But we want to make sure that you have been accepted to a college or university. You are matched with the maximum dollar scholarship for which you qualify. And so just so you're aware, here's what happens. We judge all the judges, the scholarship team, judging team, judge all of the applications. Each application gets a score from the judges. Those scores are then averaged and ranked from highest to lowest. And so then we will look at the first really probably 230, 240 individuals and give them an interview. From there, you will be given an interview score, and then we rank those. Highest ranking total score to lowest ranking total score, and then we match up our dollar figures. We start with the highest dollar figure, and we work our way down. And so I can promise you, I've been a part of the process. You are matched with the absolute maximum dollar scholarship that you are qualified for. Narratives that have only been once are rarely effective. And then, of course, we know that computer crashes and printer, we don't have to worry about printer problems because you're submitting electronically, but they're a fact of life. So make sure that you plan ahead and manage your time. Make sure that you're working with your high school counselors and give them enough time to collect the official transcripts. So the best thing I can tell you is start early and edit often. So it is a tedious process. It will take you roughly 10 to 12 hours to put together a really good application. And so I would highly encourage that you either start now, start over the Christmas break, really start gathering your information, working with your county extension agent, and seeing what tips and tricks you need to be able to submit the best application that you have. So with that being said, we want to know, ask yourself, do you meet the basic requirements? Is your application complete? Do you feel like the judges can know you? Have you gotten your SAR report? Did somebody check your spelling and grammar? Are the narratives well written? Did you identify your category? So we want to make sure that details, you understand that details do matter. in this application. So